Hey guys, it's Chris here from Chris's Creative Life, and I design workshops that help you create beautiful projects from start to finish with easy to follow guides. And I'm here to play with the product of the month today. I posted a little teaser sneak peek earlier today, and of course, it was actually the stamp set was actually in the photograph. So if you saw my post and you said, and I said something about getting inky today, guess what I'm going to play with? You were absolutely correct. We're going to play with the product of the month. If you don't know what the product of the month is, it's a new campaign, I guess we could call it, from Stampin' Up. And it is the product changes every month, and you can add it to your cart at a great discount when you reach a qualifying purchase. So here in Canada, the threshold is $100 in your cart before taxes and shipping and any sort of discounts. You can add it to your cart for $5. And obviously, like I said before, it's like a rotating product. So in January of 2025, we had the first product of the month, which was a paper pack. And then the next month, which was January 2026, we had a stamp set. And that was like a sentiment stamp set, super useful. Something you could use all year long, right? And then February was a different paper pack. And now we are in March and we're back to a stamp set. But like I said, the product is always rotating. It's something you can't just add to your cart from the shopping website. So it's kind of like a fun exclusive product. So also, I am part of a 12-person demonstrator group who each put together a tutorial every month focused on that product of the month. So this month, right, the product of the month is called Notes of Spring. I'm going to add my desk in here in a second. And it is a stamp set, and it's so sweet. So it's all, there's like two-step stamping in it, which I have discovered I actually really love. It makes it like so easy, right? You just like can color with a stamp. So I'm part of a group that every month we put together a 12-person, everybody puts in an idea, right, with a tutorial, and it's called Product of the Month Bonus Projects. Our tutorial for March is ready to go. So I'm going to show you that right now. So I'm going to add my desk in. I'm going to show you a few fun things before I start creating today. So let me add my desk in here. There we go. I have a feeling maybe we'll have to add some more light. It is quite dreary today and kind of chilly. So I actually don't even know that I could add enough light to make everything bright and cheery. Make sure as you pop on to say hello and let us know where you are joining from, because I have to say one of my favorite things is the fact that like everyone around here, where it's like a totally like international eclectic group. So you'll see people from all the different fun parts of the world. So make sure to say hi. Okay, so this is, like I said, the product of the month. And actually I have mine all on blocks, but let me just see if I can get the case here. My stamp set has been well used this month. So this is the stamp set, right? And so there is the two-step stamping. So when you use this stamp on the outline, it makes it super easy to color, right? You're literally just coloring with your ink. There's really sweet sentiments here. Happiest birthday wishes, a little note of thanks, and especially for you. So there's the little deer, there's the duck, and then there's a little bunny. Then there is just a fun little decorative image that you could color like flowers if you wanted, or just use as the design. Then there's some, I was going to call it greenery. I don't think it's like greenery. It's probably like wheat or bulrushes or something like that. And depending on how you use it, right, it would look different. So super fun little set. So like I said, and this is a look at the March product of the month bonus projects. So like I said, there's 12 of us. So there's 12 different projects. And I think this month it's like 32 pages. So there's a mini album, there's a banner, there's a cute, a fun little tag for a gift. And I actually was lucky enough to receive one of those in person. Some fun fold cards, really sweet decoration for a box to be able to give a gift. There is a note, like a post-it note tutorial. So like I said, lots of fun things included in the bonus projects. So really our goal is that for anybody that purchases the product of the month from us, you guys get this for free as part of your purchase. But also, if you can't shop with me, it is available in my PDF shop. Okay, so this is what the product of the month looks like. Okay, so then earlier this month also, I did a freebie. So there is a free sketch on my blog that features the product of the month, right? So there's one with the bunny, and then here's one with the little deer. And there's a little sketch with measurements. And like I said, you can check out that. That is also in my shop. And this is a quick look at what I created for the bonus projects with the group for our tutorials. I have thus far always created a scrapbooking mail. So I thought we would have some fun today. So Stampin' Up posts, let me just see, maybe I'll zoom in here for a second. I'll zoom you back out, but I don't know why I had to stop talking then. I had to concentrate, I guess. You know, sometimes it's like you can't, what is it? Talk. No, it's not talk. Something and chew gum at the same time. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Stampin' Up posts some inspirational pieces for the stamp of the month. And there's a really sweet watercolor. This is fun with the little deer on like the scene paper. We've got tons of that. I'm sure you guys all have lots in your stash you could use it that for. I really thought this was quite sweet with the stamping, and then I believe they've colored it with watercolor pencil crayons, right? So this is probably a note size card because you can tell in relation to this one. And how fun is that with actually like the wheat in the different colors, right? The blue and the green. Here is a look at like that little design, this piece here, but we're going to play with the inspiration of this card right here. So I'm going to take it, we're going to create one very similar, and then we're going to do two different versions with different coloring methods. So this is colored with like in a watercolor form with ink. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'll just leave this over here. I did do a little bit of prep because either that or you guys would be watching me forever, because I did, I don't know if you can see, but in the background, there are some leaves, and those are watercolored. So I did that part beforehand so that they had some time to dry. I also was super hoping that my pre-order was going to arrive in time because I ordered, so we are getting a new hybrid ink. So you'll be able to use it. Let me grab some stuff so you're not just looking at my glass mat. And I'll keep talking. So these are the colors we're playing with today. Darling Duckling, Fresh Freesia, Pecan Pie, and then I pulled out Granny Apple Green for grass. I also have Misty Moonlight because I thought we could actually mix these two to make our grass color, and then I decided to pull out Granny Apple Green instead. But I have my matching reinkers. So we're getting, I'm just going to start loading stuff onto my desk here. A hybrid ink that you're going to be able to use for watercoloring and blends at the same time. So I actually had hoped that that would get here in time before I started creating, but it is out for delivery still. Let me just zoom out because I feel like this is way too close. Okay. So, and then I just grabbed kind of miscellaneous embellishments for our card because like I said, we're going to do it a couple of different ways and I'm not really sure which is going to work the best to start off with. Okay. So, like I said, I had wanted to try the hybrid ink, and that's actually what made me think of doing the different techniques with the same card. But later, we'll use the hybrid ink. So I did pre-stamp my images. So I stamped them. The animals are just on basic white. And then I did use Stays on ink. And I stamped a couple just so that if I mess up, I have a second one. Oh, shoot. And I knew I was going to do this. I forgot to get my water. Okay, one moment, please. We're going to just still load some more stuff on my desk. Here, I have my water brushes because we're going to watercolor our little animals. So like I said, these are Stays on. So I'm going to leave that there. Just let me grab my cup of water. There we go. Clean water. Because, so what happened, right, is I went to create my leaves for my background. And then my water was really very muddy. So I thought, oh, I'll just dump it and I'll remember to fill it back up before I start. And then I didn't, of course, because I got doing a million other things. So we're going to do a standard card size, right? So I just have adhered this piece onto the card base already. This is a piece of paper from the Easter Joy paper. And then this piece I cut at 2 by 4.5. Okay, and then I have a piece of Fresh Freesia, which is I cut at 2.5 by 4. I'm going to put that underneath. Okay, and then I pre-did these, but I'm going to actually show you how I did them on just this little scrap here. This little scrap here. Okay. And then we will paint our animals, and then I'm going to set these ones aside to dry while we do our other ones, and then I will assemble my first ones. Okay, but so for my background to create my leaves, I just added water onto my watercolor paper. And then I really liked the Darling Duckling and the Fresh Freesia together the most. I did add a little bit of Pecan Pie to bring out the colors in the background there, but not a lot. Okay, so you can see my messy ink pads. Okay, and then let's put that up there right now. I'm going to do a little tiny bit of the pecan pie. Okay, so I have pre-wet. This we don't need until we go to do our animals. The watercolor. And this is literally like the funnest, fastest watercoloring. Right? So we're hoping this is going to look more like spring leaves and not fall leaves because I'm over winter here and I'm ready for it to be spring. Okay. And then, like I said, I did add some brown, but not a ton. And don't worry, you can always, if you want it to blend a little bit more, you can add more water on here, right? And blend this out. So obviously this is why I did it beforehand, right? So, but the other thing I did do was I also took some of the stronger fresh fuchsia and I splattered it because like in the fall, your leaves have all sorts of, even though I want spring leaves, have all sorts of speckles on them. I wanted a little bit of color variation on there. So then I set this aside to dry. Like you can move it around, right? Move your water around and all those fun things. And then set it aside to dry. And you want it to be really dry before you put it through your die cutting machine. And the die that I used is from upside down from Nature Symphony die, and it's just this die, right? So once it was all dry, I ran it through twice. Okay, so this is the parts. Those are the parts for all the cards. All the parts for the cards are all the same, but what we're going to do to them and the materials are all a little bit different. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we are going to watercolor with our ink. Okay, I will not need that brush anymore. And in the photo, right, they're all like subtle. So I don't want like a ton of color on my images. And like I said, I did stamp with Stays On and left it to dry. So and you just kind of want it like whimsical, right? Like I always find watercolor is really like quite whimsical. Okay, so now we're going to do our duck with the Darling Duckling. Okay, so and I'm just kind of, like I said, I wanted it really like subtle. So I'm not using a lot of the pigment. Right, and even your glass mat is good. Like if I want to kind of just test my color or be able to add more water into it, but I don't want like tons and tons of water on this because like I said, I did not use watercolor paper. I just used basic white, right? So, and then We're going to add just a really tiny, tiny bit of purple in her ear. And then maybe a little bit of the pecan pie. Okay, so now we just need to add some grass for them. And then, like I said, we're going to set this one aside and we're going to do the other versions, and we'll assemble this last once my watercolor inking is dry. And we'll color the same images 2 other ways, okay? So, and we're going to really dilute this down, right? Because everything I have is really light. So I don't want a lot of pigment. Pretty good. Okay. Okay, there we go. So we're going to leave this one and set it aside to dry with our other parts, right? So we have, right, just close this up for a second because I have a bad feeling we'll have an accident, you know. Okay, so we have our card base. Then we have 2 pieces, and I'm hoping that's enough. If I have to, I'll cut them up to make them work, right? So these are dried and die cut. We have our little piece of fresh freesia, and then on here is going to go this piece when it's dry. And then we need a sentiment too, right? But we've got that covered, don't worry. Okay. So now let's move on. We're going to create the same card, different coloring. So I have 2 other versions. So let's do our blends next. Okay. So for blends, I grabbed out Granny Apple Green for the grass, Fresh Freesia, then I have Peach Pie, and I went with Crumb Cake, and then Darling Duckling. So I did Crumb Cake because it's a little bit lighter, right, than the Pecan Pie. I have some embellishments. So here is my little piece, and this is already pre-stamped with Memento so that I can color it. And then, got a lot of water. No surprise. So for this card base, I pulled out a different piece of paper. This, and I knew I was going to forget the name, so I did put it in my pile. This piece is from the Pleasant Patterns 12 by 12 Specialty Designer Series paper. And it's fun. It's metallic, right? It's got a little bit of shine. And so it's a little bit stronger, right, than our watercolors because we're coloring with our blends. So we can start to color. I'm going to start over with the bunny and light fresh freesia. And same thing, I want it to kind of look like messy, not like perfect coloring, right? But we're taking the same coloring inspiration and we're just doing it in different ways. I'm going to leave some white. Okay. I'm going to go back in with just a few touches of the dark, fresh freesia again. So like where you would see dark. And then I'll blend it out one time with my light. Still trying to, right, keep some lights and darks. Okay, so there's our little fresh freesia. Okay, so for the duck, we're going to do Darling Duckling, and here's my light. Can you literally tell I need to have my eyes checked again? It's funny because I could tell, I've been able to tell the last couple of months, and I thought, I'm going to have to phone to get my eyes checked. And then the other day there was a message on the machine that, hey, it's time. And I just haven't got around to calling. So I just did the light, and same thing. I'm just going to add a little bit of dark, right, in places you would expect the dark. And then I will blend them back out again. Okay. And then I did grab the peach pie, and I'm just going to use the bullet tip. And this is like literally not crazy coloring, right? Okay, so for the deer, I am going to add just a little bit of a haze of the purple in her ear. And then we're going to go with the light crumb cake. And I'm going to do the ear last because I want it to dry a little bit. I'm not looking to mix the colors. I just kind of wanted like a purpley highlight. So I'm not really looking to blend them. I just want it to sit there. So, okay, and then a little bit with my dark. Okay, oops. And then my light again to try and make everything that I want to blend together to blend. Okay, so then, hey! Oh my goodness. Emmy's like right behind me, but I'm going to sit down for a few minutes. Okay, so now for this one, right, versus our watercolor, we're going to make it a little bit different. Same size as for everything though, right? So I'm going to just take my blend. So this is my dark crumb cake, I think. And I'm just going to splatter it a little bit. Ooh, that was noisy. Okay, so now we have our coloring done. And I can, here we go. So, right, the difference is I don't have to let this one dry, right? It's all ready to go. So where I'm going to add the watercolored leaves for the other ones, because this is quite like strong and our blends are a little bit strong, I decided to die cut the leaves from vellum this time. Okay, so this we're going to add into our background. Just like that. Okay, so we've got two of those. This piece is going to go over, and I might have to pull them around out a little bit. Okay, so then I have my piece of fresh freesia, and we're going to distress it. And I'm just going to do it with the edge of my scissors. And I don't even open my blades because you don't have to. And why dull your blade if you don't have to? So, right, because the fresh freesia was distressed, and this is not the two-tone, so you're not getting the white core. This is right fresh freesia through and through. So I'm just gonna rough it up. There we go. You can distress it as much as you want. You can also, like, I have a distressing tool. If you'd rather do that, you can do that. Okay, so let's start putting this together. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to attach these two pieces together. Okay, and by doing it on my, you keep seeing me like turn around because she's literally underneath my chair. But see, now I'm trying to line it up, and of course I want to be standing up, but that's okay. Maybe I can do it. Oh, look at my mat, looks crooked. There we go. Okay. Now we are going to, I'm actually going to, I think, cut these two apart. And oh my goodness, you guys, I almost literally spilled my whole cup of water. That's why I'm not typically allowed water in my studio when it is not actively required. So that's why, like earlier when I did the background leaves and I was finished, I like took it out of my office to clean it up. Okay. So I'm going to put one there. So by cutting them apart, right, I can play with them a little bit easier. And if I have to, I can add another glue dot, but I don't know that we really will need. Okay, and I can do the same thing on the bottom, right? So I'm just snipping right there. This time I'll put my smaller piece down first. We'll go, let's say, right about there. And you guys, you know what? We don't have grass. So hold please. And let's make sure. We can't have our animals floating in the air. Okay. So granny apple green. That would just be crazy silly. So this is just my light granny apple green, and we'll just ground the animals. There we go. Whew, that's much better. Crisis averted. Okay. So now I'm going to add this, and we are going to, of course, add dimensionals because we can. So and then the sentiments are super sweet for this. So, and the inspiration, they were embossed, right, with white embossing powder. So I did that beforehand. So you didn't have to see me do it 3 times. But I'll show you what we've got going on here. Okay. So there we go. Okay, so the sentiments, like I said, for this, I figured we'll do some happy birthdays. So this says happiest birthday wishes. And then there's a note, a little note of thanks. So I just actually added them on the same block. Okay. And I grabbed a piece of Misty Moonlight and I did it 4 times because I thought if we're going to do it, let's just do it and have a few different options. So I grabbed actually a die, the postage, these ones, the postage dies, and also stylish shapes. And I've cut them out with both. So we have a bunch of different versions. So right here's a little note of thanks, and here's happiest birthday wishes. So I think we will use this one on here. But see, so I cut one out of each with the stylish shapes or the little tag. I love this little tag because it kind of just fits perfectly. If you know what I mean. So maybe we will do a little note of thanks on this one. But I'm just trying to decide if maybe we should put a little bit of twine or ribbon under there. Let's see what we can find. Okay, because so for our embellishment on this one, we're just going to use plain rhinestones. So let's see here. Maybe one of the new ones. Because it's a little bit sparkly, right? So let's use, so this is white, gold, or black, 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so we're going to make a mess. But let's see what happens. So I'm just cutting it in half. Oh, that was super weird. Something strange just happened with my screen. But I think I'm still here. So I'm going to pull it apart. And we're just going to tie a bow. Actually, I'm going to, I think, leave it flat. And so that I don't have the knot underneath the sentiment. So I'm just grabbing a little piece of tearing tape. Okay. There we go. So now everything is stuck together just with that tear and tape. Okay, so let's, just because now I have little tiny pieces of frayed ribbon all over the place. Okay, there we go. And then let's just add our rhinestones. And then we actually have one assembled card. The other one is almost dry, but we'll do the third one. And for that one, the coloring, I'm going to actually use the stamp set the way it's intended, right? So using the two-step stamping. So, and then, but we'll use a different, so, okay, this one is our blends version. It is done now. Okay, so we can move our blends out of the way. Okay, so we'll put our blends one up there because we're going to vote on as to which one we like the best. But okay, so for the next one, I wanted to do, right, the stamping the way that it's intended. So we are going to first stamp our images. Okay, so I'm going to show you also when I prepped all these pieces. I used the new Stampin' platform. I keep having to step over the dog behind me every single time I have to move in my office. So I cut all my pieces, right? I also lined up my stamps on here so then I could use whichever kind of ink I needed. And I had the ability to stamp more if I wanted more like practice ones, right? So here we go. We're going to stamp a set of the animals. We're going to give it a second to dry. We have a different paper combination for this. Okay. So I do have to say I do love the Stampin' platform. So this is just the smaller bar. So you can use it for like stamping a border, all those fun things. But I just set it up with the 3 animals because it was big enough for the 3 animals. And I just cut lots of pieces of basic white. And then you just, so I could just put it down in the same spot every single time. I knew my animals were spaced properly, right? All those fun things. I did add the magnets down there, but you don't always need them also, I would say. And you can see my messy grid paper down there. I'll kind of just use it until it doesn't work anymore. And we're going to just fix this little tail there. There we go. Actually, we are going to do that again because I do not like that. So here is the advantage of it, right? So I just want to double check that it's in the right spot. Move my paper up a little bit. So you just line up the little empty holes over here and then just make sure it's going straight across. It does have a little bit of wiggle room, but it's pretty easy to, like, I just make sure it's squared before I punch down on it. I'm just going to move my water out of the way. We're just going to do that. Right? Because maybe I just need a little bit more space in front of me. If you guys could see the huge mess in front of me right now. Okay, we'll try that again. You always want to be able to read or Stampin' Up. There we go. I'll just give it a second, like always. There we go. Much better. Okay, so I will set this aside and I'll clean up after. Okay, so for this one, like I said, we're going to stamp it with the stamps for the coloring. So, right, the two-step part of it. So first, though, I'm going to just give this a second to dry, and maybe I will talk to you about the other parts. So I have my card base, and this is from the, see, I'm like bad with names today, Square Snippets 12 by 12, right? The fun little squares. I liked the little, this piece, because it kind of went really well with the Misty Moonlight, right? So it's got the 4 by 4 squares on the back side, but a very usable print on the other side, right? So that's our background piece here, right? So then same thing, I have my fresh fuchsia piece that we'll distress in a second. So then I wanted to create some different leaves for this one. So I thought, okay, so what can I do? So I grabbed something different again, and you're not going to be able to see this on camera. So maybe I will try and just do a piece. So I grabbed the Whispers of Texture 12 by 12 specialty paper. And this is the one, it's just got this little tiny pattern in it, and it just gives it texture. So what I did was I did ink blending on my background. So you can see, this is how it starts. It's just white. And then I took my blending brush and created the colors that I wanted. And now all my leaves are textured, right? So I just used the Daffodil Delight, Daffodil, it's not, Darling Duckling, Fresh Freesia, a little bit of the Pecan Pie in there, and ink blended it with my blending brushes, and then I cut out 2 sets of the leaves. Okay, so I will, first maybe we will work on, while we still let those other pieces dry just for a second, I will cut these apart. And just so they look like they're arranged a little bit differently, right? I just cut them up differently. Okay, and actually, because I have it sitting here, let's just make sure you're going to be able to see some of our pretty leaves. Okay, and I can just add a little bit of tearing tape because I can actually see what's going on, right? Okay, so then we have our piece of fresh freesia. And so, right, the first one I just did with my scissors. And like I said, I do have an old distressing tool. So that's another option. I actually probably should have done one that was two-tone so that we got white. That would be another option too, right? Is to use the two-tone. Okay, so there we go. And we can add dimensionals on this piece. Okay, so we're gonna think that these are dry now. So I am going to I'll do the bunny first. I'm gonna go from left to right so that I don't drag my hand through it also. So I don't want the colors like crazy strong, right? So I have just a little piece of scratch paper that I was playing with here. So I'm going to stamp off all of my fill-in stamps so that they're a little bit lighter. And the fun part is, right, the whole stamp set just makes it look like you've colored it yourself. So I'm going to stamp it off so it's a little bit lighter. And then fill in my bunny. There we go. Okay, so that's the fresh freesia. Now we'll do the duck with the darling duckling. Same thing. I'm going to just stamp it off one time. There we go. So that one's done. And then we have our pecan pie. So, and it already like creates the darker areas for you on top of like coloring it in, right? So there is our deer. Okay, so those are done. So then I need grass for this guy. So same thing. I'm going to take my granny apple green, and there's this little it's got fluff from distressing the fresh freesia. So this is one of the fill-ins for the greenery. So I'm going to just stamp off. And this one, I'm going to use it as grass, right? And I am actually going to change the direction so that they don't all look the same. You could stamp it off once or twice so that's even a little bit lighter. And you can either rotate the stamp or rotate your paper. So there we go. Okay, so that is how it looks with just using the stamp set. Okay, that little messy can go in the garbage. Okay, I will bring back over this piece. I will adhere the two pieces together, and then we can add our sentiment. And by then, our watercolors should be dry. Okay, so for this one, we'll use the other message. As soon as I find them on my desk. Okay, hold please. What the heck? So if I have to, I can cut them, but I actually pre-cut them. Oh my goodness. But here, if we have to, here's our watercolor. Oh, I bet it's with the dies. Here, in this pile. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh! You like the watercolor better? So I think that because I like these leaves too, that textured paper is really pretty once you add some ink blend into it. I think that partially the color palette of the cards definitely suit the watercolor, right? So I think we're going to do 2 happy birthdays. So this is the fully watercolored version. There's our blends, and then here's our stamped one. And we're going to do this one there. Okay, and then those are for there. This is the 2024 to 2026 flat pearls. We're going to use these ones on here. Okay, so I also have twine behind me. Here we go. So on this one, I'm going to use the linen twine, and on this one, I'm going to just use a little bit of the white and gold. There we go. Okay, same thing. I'm going to use a little bit of tear and tape behind. I actually think that the textured leaves would look great on a scrapbooking layout with ink blending to match. Okay, so we have the little ticket one again, but this is the other sentiment that says happiest birthday wishes. And I'm going to add dimensionals. So we'll have to do some other coloring once I actually have my hybrid ink inside the doors. So like I said, I was hoping that it would get here beforehand, but it did not. But I'm kind of excited because then you don't have to even, so if you really like StazOn and Memento, make sure to grab them before they're gone. And if you're ready to try something new, that's the beginning of May for customers, and it's on pre-order for demonstrators right now. So if you like stuff early like me, think about becoming a demonstrator, right? Okay, and we're going to do the peach pie ones on here. You guys always think I was joking about, like, I just need to know stuff and want stuff before everybody else. That is 100% why I became a demonstrator in the first place. 100%. Okay, so here's our blends and here's our fill-in stamps. And now I think we're dry enough. We can assemble our watercolor. And the watercolor one is very pretty. We need to distress the edge first. So I'm just going to do that with my scissors again. Also on the way, I have my album retreat coming. So I will have to do an unboxing for what's in the box. I did get to see it live in Long Beach when I was there. There's a bunch of like interactive pages. Again, something for everybody though, like from simple, right, to a little bit harder. Okay, here we go. Now we just need our piece of linen twine and then we can finish it all up. Okay, we'll tie this up. And I'm not looking for a perfect bow, right? I almost want something a little bit messy. Turn tape. We're going to do antique pearls on this card. For our embellishments. Okay, so this one is all dry now. It is really pretty. And like I said, it's just on basic white. So so you can see too, it's probably hard. It's probably very subtle on camera. This is the watercolor paper though. And so once it was dry, the color is much stronger than the ink blending on the textured paper, right? But this has lots of texture to it. So it's kind of like, just depends on what you're looking for, right? So let's cut this apart again so we can see a little bit more of it. So I just put a little bit of adhesive down and now I can just tap my pieces into the adhesive. Okay, we'll add dimensionals to here. There we go. We should make sure that our card is opening in the right direction. Ask me how I know, right? We've all done that. And it is no fun to have to peel back up, right? Okay, so super sweet. Okay, let's just add. Okay, now our pearls, and we are done. There we go, guys. That's what I got for you guys today. So here is the pure inspiration pulled right from the artwork, right? Watercolored, all the papers are the same. I just added different embellishments, so twine, and then I used a die cut to cut out the sentiments. Then this is the one with the blends with the sparkly paper. We've got vellum, some ribbon that we deconstructed, some simple rhinestones on there. Thank you. And then this is the third version, which is the stamped in version. So just slightly different. I do really have to say that I quite have enjoyed this stamp of the month. Like I said, I also incorporated it into a scrapbooking layout for my project for the tutorial. So that's what I've got for you guys today. If you have any questions, always feel free to ask. You can always, I'm pretty easy to reach. There's lots of different ways to reach me. You can comment here and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. You can reach me by email at chris@chrisscreativelife.com, or you can send me a message. Okay, have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.